Coming up next, a tale of twin brothers who were trying to make it in the music business, but all the tastemakers told them if they wanted to make it, they needed to learn to sing without an accent. Their thick accents stopped many labels from giving them a chance, and they were so original that a famous TV host called them weird on live TV. This only motivated them, and eventually they had a massive hit all over the world in 1988, everywhere except America. They couldn't understand why it didn't take off in the US. But then in the stroke of good luck, a famous actress made the director use the song in her scene in a movie, and it blew up 5 years after it was a hit everywhere else. It hit number one here, but even then some radio stations wouldn't play it because of a misheard lyric that they found offensive. Well, find out next on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you spent all your quarters at the arcade or on the jukebox, you're going to dig this channel. Make sure to subscribe below right now. Click the red button and click the bell so you never miss an interview. We also have a Patreon. You're going to want to check that out. Starting to put full interviews there, exclusive content you won't find anywhere else. You can also become an honorary producer to help us curate this music history. That's what it's all about. So it's time for another edition of our series, Bottle Lightning. This is where we break down a song that was king for a day, or really for many days. A song that was so big that the artist or band weren't able to match its success long term. Most call them one-hit wonders, but we celebrate them here as lightning in a bottle. This one is an old classic from an 80s brother duo. It was also a hit in the following decade, 5 years after it was a hit internationally. It's one of the most interesting Bottle Lightning stories that I've ever come across. Love will make us do crazy things. The determination to prove our love for another makes us unreasonable, unstoppable, even invincible. That superhuman resilience has been captured in the lyrics of some of popular music's most beloved songs. Talking about luminaries like Marvin Gaye, who teamed with Tammy Terrell to vow that there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep him away.
To keep me from getting to you, baby, remember the day.
And Nat King Cole, who pledged his love when he proclaimed to his darling, "I'll follow my star to the ends of the earth just to be where you are."
Just to be where you are.
Now, in another act of insurmountable devotion put to music, two brothers from Scotland promised to walk 500 miles and then 500 more just to be the man to fall down at the door of their love. Identical twin brothers, Craig and Charlie Reid, they were teenagers at Bell Baxter High School in Fife, Scotland. When they saw the Clash in concert, they were spellbound by what they experienced. With only a cheap guitar and a worn-out drum kit, the brothers decided to put a punk band together, and they named it Black Flag. Seriously, Black Flag. No, not that Black Flag. No relation to the punk band from Hermosa Beach, California, once famously fronted by Henry Rollins. They were the Scottish Black Flag. That's pretty cool. But neither Charlie nor Craig were punkers at heart, so when Black Flag disbanded in 1983, the brothers decided to become an acoustic-style duo that they called the Proclaimers. They slowly developed a following around Inverness, the capital of the Scottish Highlands. As sons of Scotland, the Reeds had really thick Scottish accents, and they made no effort to disguise their heritage when they sang in front of live audiences.
On their last tour, they're proud of being one of the few Scottish bands who don't sing with American accents.
With 3 years of live performances under their belt, the Reeds began to land gigs in London, and they met people in the record industry. They really liked their songs, but they advised them to lose those accents, or they'd never make it, is what they said.
He's worn a frown, this Caledonian clown.
In fact, one punter warned the brothers that people wouldn't be able to understand what they were singing about unless they heeded this advice. Singing in their native tongue became a matter of principle, though, to Charlie and Craig. They wrote songs about real people that they knew and observed, and real struggles that faced those people. The brothers truly believed that it was disingenuous of them to sing their songs about honest observations in a mid-Atlantic or American accent. They weren't going to do that. One individual in the music industry that felt their heavy Scottish accent was an advantage that set them apart from other bands was actually Celtic soul brother Kevin Rowland, the frontman for Dexy's Midnight Runners. We actually just covered Come On Eileen a few months back and talked about Kevin. The brothers first met Kevin Rowland when they saw him on stage with the Dexy's Midnight Runners in, I believe it was 1980. Well before Rowland co-wrote the #1 new wave favorite, Come On Eileen, with Jim Patterson and Billy Adams. Craig shared how impactful that 1980 concert was for him and his twin. He said, Dexy's Midnight Runners came on stage and it was not something we were expecting. It was like being hit by a truck. It was breathtaking how good they were and how unusual they were. Rowland helped Charlie and Craig record a demo album that was given to members of the group The House Martins, who actually liked the demo so much they invited the Proclaimers to open for them on their 1986 tour. Speaking of the House Martins, if you've never heard of this band, you gotta check them out. One of my favorite bands when I was in high school, still one of my favorites. They wrote some of the best songs of the 80s. And their lead singer, Paul Heaton, of course, started the outstanding band, The Beautiful South, that happened at the end of the 80s. Should I do a piece on them? Either the House Martins or the Beautiful South. I should try to track Paul Heaton down for an interview. Anyway, forgive me for the distraction. I love the House Martins. So the tour with the House Martins led to the Proclaimers landing the opportunity to make their first television appearance on The Tube. This was a popular show on the independent television network, showcasing emerging musical acts. So over the introduction of the Proclaimers to the studio audience and those watching at home, Paula Yates, the controversial host of The Tube, she set the band up for viewers to get ready for something weird. That's what she said. Unflinching, the brothers took the stage and delivered a spirited performance of their first single, Throw the R Away. It was the second single, Letter from America, that actually broke the Proclaimers in the United Kingdom. The song reflects Scotland's long history of emigration, with Scots leaving behind the severe unemployed and economic depression in their motherland to start new lives in America and Canada. Letters from America, co-produced by fellow Scotsman Jerry Rafferty, that rose to #3 on the British singles chart and #2 in Ireland, setting the tone for even greater success to come for this band. That was actually something I didn't know until a couple of days ago, that Jerry Rafferty produced it. Winding your way down on Baker Street. So one afternoon in August of 1987, Craig and Charlie were just hanging out at an apartment in Edinburgh, just killing time before attending a football club match in Aberdeen that evening. With nothing much to do, Craig started to fool around with some chords on an electric piano that was inside the apartment. Craig kept playing. The more he played, the more a melodic structure came to him, just seemingly out of nowhere, really. Although he had no idea where it was coming from, within 45 minutes, Craig had the foundation for the Proclaimers' signature hit, I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles, parentheses song. Craig couldn't play the guitar, so he played the general melody of his new creation to Charlie. It was Charlie who turned the melody into what Craig called catchy Buddy Holly type downstrums. Now, while composing this particular song, Craig didn't have thoughts of creating a tune that would be universally loved, but with lyrics about drunkenness, working hard, and a complete disregard for money, the masses would really relate to I'm Gonna Be. I'm gonna be the man who's working hard for you. I'm Gonna Be was the obvious choice to be the lead single for the Proclaimers' sophomore album, Sunshine on Leave. On the heels of the top 5 success of Letter from America, the Proclaimers were going to get fast consideration for airplay, and I'm Gonna Be was immediately on the radio throughout Europe and other parts of the world. The single actually peaked at #11 in the UK, but it went all the way to #1 in Australia and in New Zealand. There was something special about the song, beyond its initial chart success in 1988, but it seemed to be held back from its ultimate destiny. It did nothing in the US, But that, of course, is going to change. 5 years later, in 1993, American actress Mary Stuart Masterson was on the set of Benny and June, a film that she was co-starring in with Johnny Depp. In this romantic film, Masterson played the character of June, who suffers from schizophrenia. Her performance was highly acclaimed as really the best of her career. My favorite, of course, is when she played Watts in Some Kind of Wonderful, but great performance here. Now, the director of the film, Jeremiah Chechik, he asked Mary Stuart Masterson to bring in her favorite music as motivation for the opening scene where she's painting. Masterson's favorite band at this time was the Proclaimers. She elected to play I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles on her personal stereo. The director and actually the entire crew fell in love with this song.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you.
Chechik also directed the classic Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase. He remembered hearing the track and thinking, a song about someone who's gonna walk 1,000 miles for true love? That's just too perfect. And so Chechik put the song in the scene, and it was indeed perfect for the movie. It actually became a highlight with moviegoers and was quickly picked up by the American media. Good for Mary Stuart Masterson. Great taste in music. Would have been a much different story if she chose another song to play at that moment on the movie set.
I know I'm gonna be the man who's favoring to you.
Also, if the Reed brothers had succumbed to the dictums of record executives and sang in English or an American dialect, would the Proclaimers have captured Mary's fancy? I don't know. Probably not. The series of events that decided the fate of I'm Gonna Be and the Proclaimers, it really makes you wonder. I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles, it placed in the top 10 on the college radio survey, and it received some play on commercial alternative rock stations, but nothing like the second wave of the song that touched down like a tsunami. Blasted to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it went to number 8 on the US rock chart.
Well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's going over you.
I mean, inconceivable for a song that had peaked overseas 5 years before that. An 80s song, hitting the top of the charts amongst the changing musical styles of the 90s. It was just perfect. Not only did I'm Gonna Be finally get the mass recognition that it deserved in America, it also had a huge resurgence when it was re-recorded with British comedians Peter Kay and Matt Lucas joining Craig and Charlie Reid on a comic relief version that triumphantly reached the pinnacle of the British singles chart, and it went to number 1 in their motherland, Scotland. That was in 2007.
Be the man who's working hard for you. Shaka Khan. And when the money.
Just what is the magic behind I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles, that makes it such an irresistible dose of ear candy? When asked why the song became so popular, Craig Reid summed up his whimsical composition, if you will, using no superlatives or sophisticated musical theory. It's all the things that are so bloody obvious, he surmised. I don't have a very good Scottish accent. I think Craig's being way too modest, though. I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles has a brilliant pop arrangement. It's constructed around the track's catchy marching chorus, galloping, non-lexical chanting, shouted out proudly by Craig and Charles with anthemic jubilation. Some critics refused to take the song at face value, though, and tried to find some kind of hidden religious meaning in this song. But there isn't one. It's not a religious song. It's just a ditty about a man who is so head over heels in love, he'll do anything to get his girl, even if it means walking 500 miles, then another 500 miles, and collapsing from exhaustion at his lover's doorstep. The Reed brothers, in effect, they struck a lovable chord in many of us as the nerdy romantic underdog heroes. Even though it was a straight-ahead love song with no suggestive subject matter, it wasn't without controversy. The line in verse 1 that goes, I'm gonna be the one who's havering for you, that was misinterpreted to mean something bawdy, and some radio stations in America refused to play it, actually. Or it may have went to number 1.
Well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's havering to you.
In reality, havering was part of narrator's obsession. In Scotland, havering is a term that means to babble on. It's when someone keeps talking about the same thing over and over. That's how head over heels in love this person is.
I'm gonna be the man who's favoring to you.
The Proclaimers, with their naturalist blend of musical genres, have been cited as significant influences by many bands, including the Concretes, Bare Naked Ladies, Belle and Sebastian, actually, the Balconies, and Peter, Bjorn, and John. I'm Gonna Be has been covered a number of times, not only by the aforementioned acts, but also by Todd Rundgren, also Imagine Dragons. Listen to the massive crowd singing along to Imagine Dragons when they perform their version of the Tea in the Park Festival. I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles. It's just as fresh and spirited as it was back when I first heard it in the late 80s. It's definitely become one of those all-time sing-along classics. And unlike most of the recordings of that era, the song doesn't have any synthesizers or electronic processing that could make the song sound dated. The story of Craig and Charlie Reid, it's a heartwarming one. It's as motivational as it is inspirational. The success that they've enjoyed as the Proclaimers over 40 years and 12 studio albums is validation to the importance of being true to yourself and not letting anyone change who you really are. The very thing that the so-called experts told them to abandon, their natural Scottish brogue, is what made them stand out in a very competitive business, full of impersonators and derivative wannabes. I had this song on import years before it hit on Benny and June, and I put it on several mixtapes for a girl that I pledged my undying love to. I was a hopeless romantic back in the day, and I went a little overboard, embarrassing myself by writing a love letter to go along with this tape that I would walk 500 miles, and you get the picture. I remember I was DJing a school dance, and I was excited to play this song, thinking that everybody was going to love it. I got stared at by most of the kids because I think they had no clue how to dance to it. And then just a few years later, it would get played at a dance after the movie and everyone went crazy. Kind of the same thing that happened with the song and the Reid brothers when they were well ahead of their time and weren't afraid to sing with their thick, if it's not Scottish, it's crap accents. Remember that skit from Saturday Night Live?
Hold on. Welcome to All Things Scottish. If it's no Scottish, it's crap!
From all of us in the Professor of Rock community, we want to thank Craig and Charles Reid for their music and going the distance with unwavering courage and integrity. And thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment about the Proclaimers and this Bottle Lightning smash hit. It's just such a feel-good song. What did you think of it when you first heard it? What are your memories of the movie and the song? When did you discover it? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe below so you never miss out on our daily videos. We would love to have you as part of this community. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.